Stay-at-home moms, jobs, the counterintuitive discovery that solves time scarcity and builds real income. The laptop screen glowed in the pre-dawn darkness, casting soft light across her tired face. She'd been up since 5, not because she wanted to be, but because this was the only hour that belonged to her. The house was still quiet. The kids were still asleep, and somewhere between the third cup of coffee and the weight of another unpaid day, she asked herself the question that had been sitting heavy in her chest for months. Is there actually a way to earn money without losing what little time I have left? She wasn't asking for a miracle. She wasn't chasing some overnight empire. She just wanted something real, something that could fit into the cracks of her day without breaking her. But every job posting she scrolled past seemed designed for a version of her that didn't exist anymore. The one who could commute, the one who could work 9 to 5. The one who didn't have to choose between showing up for her kids and showing up for herself. What she didn't know yet was that the answer wouldn't come from doing more. It would come from doing differently. Most advice for stay-at-home moms sounds the same. Start a blog, sell crafts online, become a virtual assistant. And sure, those work for some people. But what nobody talks about is the invisible cost, the hours spent learning platforms, chasing clients, building audiences from zero. The advice assumes you have time to invest before you see a single dollar. But when you're living in survival mode, time isn't something you can gamble with. You need something that works now, not someday. She learned this the hard way. She'd tried the freelance writing route, spent 3 weeks pitching, got ghosted by 12 potential clients, and landed one gig that paid $40. After taxes and the babysitter she had to hire just to focus, she'd made less than minimum wage. It wasn't the work that broke her. It was the realization that she was working harder than ever and still falling behind. Maybe success just wasn't meant for someone like her. But then something shifted. Not because she found some secret hack or stumbled onto a viral idea. She shifted because she stopped trying to fit into systems that were never built for her in the first place. She started asking a different question. Not how can I do more, but what actually needs to be done and who's willing to pay for it without demanding my whole life in return. That question changed everything. She started looking at her own behavior as a consumer. What did she pay for without hesitation? What made her life easier in ways she couldn't put a price on? And she realized something most people overlook. The highest value work isn't always the most visible. It's the work that removes friction. The work that saves someone else time, energy, or decision-making burden. And in a world where everyone is overwhelmed, that kind of work is worth more than it's ever been. According to recent research, the home-based business sector led by women has grown 40% faster than traditional small businesses over the past 5 years. Not because women suddenly got more ambitious, but because the world finally started valuing the kind of problem-solving they'd been doing for free all along. Mothers don't just manage homes, they manage logistics, budgets, schedules, emotions, crises, and conflicting needs all at once, often without recognition. Those are the exact skills that modern businesses are desperate for. She just had to figure out how to package them. The breakthrough didn't happen in her inbox or on social media. It happened at the pediatrician's office, scrolling her phone in the waiting room. She saw a post from a mom in a local group asking if anyone knew how to set up an email sequence for her Etsy shop. The responses were either too technical or too vague. So she sent a direct message. Not offering to do it for free, not pitching herself as an expert. Just saying, I've done this before. I can walk you through it for $50 and it'll take about an hour. The woman said yes within 10 minutes. That night, after the kids were asleep, she sat at her kitchen table and helped a stranger solve a problem that had been stalling her business for weeks. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't a TED Talk moment, but it was real. And when the payment hit her account the next morning, something inside her shifted. Not because of the money, but because of what the money represented. Proof that she could create value on her own terms. Proof that her time had worth. Proof that she didn't need anyone's permission to start. What would you have done in her place? She didn't quit her old routines overnight. She didn't announce to the world that she was now a business owner. She just kept solving small problems for people who needed them solved. One Etsy seller became 2. 2 became 5. And within a month, she'd made more than she had in 6 months of freelance pitching. Not because she worked harder, but because she stopped undervaluing her ability to make things easier for other people. The counterintuitive part. She wasn't selling a skill. She was selling relief. Most people think you need to be the best at something to charge for it, but that's not how value works. You don't need to be the best graphic designer in the world. You just need to be better than the overwhelmed business owner who's been staring at Canva tutorials for 3 hours and still can't figure out how to export a transparent logo. You don't need to be a certified accountant. You just need to know how to organize receipts in a way that makes tax season less terrifying. You don't need a marketing degree. You just need to understand what actual humans want to hear, and most humans want to feel seen, not sold to. She paused, not because it was easy, but because it was finally hers. The guilt came later. Not from the work itself, but from the part of her that still felt like wanting more was somehow betraying the role she was supposed to play. Society had taught her that being a good mother meant disappearing into it completely. That ambition and motherhood couldn't coexist. That if she wanted something for herself, it meant she wasn't grateful enough for what she already had. But here's what she started to understand. Wanting financial independence doesn't make you a bad mother. It makes you human. And teaching your kids that their mom has dreams, skills, and worth outside of caregiving, that's not selfish. That's modeling resilience. Then came the doubt, the kind that whispers louder than failure. There were weeks where nothing came in, weeks where a client ghosted her, or a project took twice as long as she expected. Weeks where she questioned whether she was fooling herself into thinking this could actually work. But she didn't stop. Not because she was fearless, but because going back to feeling invisible felt worse than failing forward. And slowly, the work started to shift. She stopped taking every project that came her way, and started choosing the ones that respected her boundaries. She stopped charging by the hour, and started charging by the outcome. She stopped apologizing for her rates, and started trusting that the right people would see the value. And the right people did. Sometimes, growth doesn't look like progress, it looks like staying. What helped her most wasn't just finding the right tools, though they mattered. It was realizing that she didn't need to have everything figured out before she started. She tested different approaches. She tried a few platforms before finding what truly worked. Canva became her design hub. Calendly eliminated the back-and-forth scheduling chaos. A simple Notion template kept her projects organized without needing expensive software. These weren't magic solutions. They were just tools that gave her back a few hours a week, and those hours added up. This isn't a promotion, just something that made the path a little lighter. If you're trying to build something while managing a full household, having tools that don't require a learning curve makes all the difference. She left links to what worked for her, in case it helped someone else avoid the trial and error phase. But the real tool was permission. Permission to start small, to pivot when needed, and to believe that her time had value even when no one else was validating it yet. By the time summer came, her workspace was still her kitchen counter. The laundry still piled up. The kids still interrupted her mid-sentence. But something had fundamentally changed. She wasn't waiting for permission anymore. She wasn't waiting for the perfect moment or the perfect plan. She was building imperfectly, inconsistently, but undeniably hers. Her income wasn't replacing a six-figure salary, but it was covering groceries. It was paying for the babysitter without guilt. It was funding the small things that used to feel like luxuries. A new book, a nicer coffee, a weekend away. And more than the money, it was giving her something she hadn't felt in years. Agency, the ability to make choices that weren't dictated by someone else's schedule or approval. Research shows that financial autonomy is one of the strongest predictors of overall life satisfaction for women, not because money solves everything, but because it creates options. And options create breathing room. And breathing room creates the mental space to dream again. She smiled, not because everything was perfect, but because it was finally moving. There's a myth that mothers have to choose between being present and being ambitious. That you can nurture your family or nurture your goals, but not both. But that's a false binary designed by people who've never had to do both at once. The truth is messier and more hopeful. You don't have to choose, you just have to build differently. You have to stop measuring your progress against people who have resources, childcare, and timelines you don't. You have to stop waiting for conditions that will never arrive. You have to start where you are, with what you have, and trust that small, consistent steps compound faster than you think. What she wishes someone had told her a year ago. You don't need a business plan. You need one person with one problem you can solve. You don't need a brand. You need clarity on what you're actually offering. You don't need confidence. You need action, because confidence comes after you've done the thing, not before. And you definitely don't need more time. You need better boundaries around the time you already have. When she poured her coffee the next morning, it was still hot because this time, she wasn't rushing. She was building, and that made all the difference. The kitchen looked the same. The routine looked the same. But she felt different. Not because she'd arrived somewhere, but because she'd stopped waiting for permission to leave. She'd stopped believing that her worth was tied to how much she sacrificed. She'd stopped thinking that success had to look like someone else's highlight reel. And in doing so, she'd created something quiet, sustainable, and entirely her own. Disclaimer: this content is for educational purposes only and does not replace consultation or assistance from a professional. Always consult a qualified professional for any questions related to finance, business, or investments. Tell us what part of her story resonated with you most and where you're watching from. Your journey might just inspire the next one. Tell us which country or city you're watching from. See you in the next video. Bye.